What's up everyone, this is Ignatius, and this is going to be my 11th video as a PoE2 content creator. Thank you all for supporting me on this new journey. Today's video I'm going to bring to you my thoughts on how the meta looks like it's going to be shaking out for at least the launch of the .3 season of PoE2, and I'm also going to give you a bit of a preview on what I will probably be doing for the league start. Alright, let's dive right in. First of all, what are things going to look like? I don't think it's too much of a secret now to those who pay attention to the scene. Based on the announcement, I think we're going to see a lot of Deadeye. I think it could be as high as 40%. I think with Lightning Spear, we probably were seeing like 40 to 60% at different points in last season. And I think Deadeye is going to launch with numbers that similar, and I do think they'll come down as time progresses. After Deadeye, I do think we're going to see some hollowedpalm, maybe 10 to 15% people trying out this based on the announcements, which is really exciting. And from there, we'll say the remaining like 30 to 40% of players. I think casters are a bit of a sleeper. Nobody's really talking about some of the changes around casting and the ascendancies. I think they're pretty strong. Those will sneak up as the league progresses. We will definitely have our totem bros. I think totems are going to be interesting. They seem to have much more of a ceiling in terms of how they can scale. They scale with weapons. I know the ancestral totem has no limit. There's a lot of really interesting things there. And then we'll have minions, which shouldn't exist, and everything else kind of after that. Let me cover Deadeye and hollowedpalm a little bit, because these are the two that I'm going to be negotiating in the rest of this video, and probably helping you guide a decision if you're thinking about one of these two, and also the decision on your ascendancy. Deadeye. Why? A lot of people aren't mentioning it, but at the end of the .2 season, if you dialed out of the season sometime, before this came out, this little rune was released into the game, and you can socket it into your weapon. You can socket many of them into your weapon. I think as many as 4 in this new season with the new crafting mechanics. And it's bow attacks, fire, and additional arrow. Additional arrow in PoE2 was like a very refined mechanic on the launch of the game. I think GGG did not want it to get out of control. I think the best you could do was the implicit on dual string, a super rare explicit on dual string, and then one from the Deadeye node. But with this, there's really like no limit. You don't even need to run scattershot. This is just really, really powerful, especially as you get into the late game. These are going to be expensive. But yeah, this is a huge reason that Deadeye is going to be amazing. As far as changes announced in the patch, we had the changes to marks announced, and that was a big deal. There were 2 nodes on Deadeye that were pretty much dead. Let me open POB really quick, and I'll show them to you. So if you played Deadeye before, these 2 awkward chains out here were just kind of bad and kind of pointless, and they got rid of both of them, even though Deadeye was already potentially the most powerful class in .1 and .2, like over the course of things. They were both so powerful. They got rid of their worst nodes anyway. So called shots. This really changes how marks work, not just for Deadeye, but for every other class. Marks are no longer spells, so they cannot be activated by the cast on blank mechanics of the game. You basically have to cast them manually unless you are Deadeye. So this change is a nerf to all other classes for marks, and then they added this called shots meta skill that repeatedly marks enemies near you and ignores the mark limit. This is kind of insane. If you don't know, Voltaic Mark is amazing for clear. Sniper's Mark adds free crit bonus and generates frenzy charges. And so this meta skill will trigger them, apply them automatically, and bypass the mark limit. They're not even spells anymore. I don't know if they're going to cost mana. I really think they're going to have to change this. I think it's just too powerful. But for now, this is the way it looks. And it replaces what was formerly like a totally dead node on the Ascendancy. The Eagle Eyes is also really good. Again, we remove the accuracy penalty part, but we apply 20 stacks of critical weakness when you consume a mark on an enemy. So this, it works in combination with this. It'll apply crit weakness to bosses, which we were doing with all sorts of goofy offhand mechanics last season, and this just goes right here. Deadeye literally has 8 powerful nodes now, and you're gonna have to give and take which ones you want. The worst is probably Wind Ward, and at max Tailwind, this is a 30% DR, which is insane, and it's the worst node. If Frenzy is good, you have to look at these ones. Obviously, these are the core of Deadeye right here, and you always take Tailwind 100% of the time. So yeah, good luck figuring out which of these incredibly OP nodes you're going to take, and for some reason they added 2 more OP ones. We also have to talk about Deflect. This is not Deadeye specific, but Deadeye did struggle defensively. It especially struggled with having to, scale evasion, but evasion wasn't quite strong enough because it didn't dodge enough attack types. And, they nerfed in .2 the one way to actually scale evasion attack types. I'm trying to remember the node. It was a keystone. Here it is, acrobatics. So could evade all hits, but 75% less evasion. And I think this was like nerfed in .2. Well, now we have Deflect, and Deflect scales with evasion and to some extent accuracy. I don't quite understand. Exact chance to deflect also depends on the attacker's accuracy. So, effects like blind and things will scale this inherently. But yeah, Deflect, if you get it to 100% chance, is a 40% DR from pretty much everything, except like, the special boss hits and maybe like AoEs and things like that. I think with Deflect on Deadeye, you can scale evasion and just go with a decent life pool and you're good to go defensively. And that was never the case before. Deadeyes usually had to find some sort of ES mechanic if they wanted to be reasonably tanky, and scaling evasion just didn't succeed on its own. So this sort of solves that, fixes it, and makes it perhaps the strongest combination of defenses in the game. It combines with the ascendancy because Tailwind gives you more evasion as it scales, and then the evasion prevents you from getting hit, so you maintain your Tailwind. It's just kind of nuts. I think they're going to change this possibly before even League start, based on the community's reaction. We will see, but yeah, Deadeye, number 1 on League start. Number 2, the hollowedpalm builds. So this is, pretty exciting. If you don't know, there is an unarmed attack mechanic which had a little bit of support in, sort of the monk spear type archetypes, and I saw some SSF players do some fun stuff with unarmed attacks, but now this is starting to look a legit viable plan. I think it's not just intriguing, it's not just bait. It certainly looks like bait, unarmed attacks. I think it actually scales to be really, really powerful. So this is going to be a new keystone. People are saying that it's going to be right here. So on your tree, this would be just above these weird like warding nodes, easily accessible from the monk start and easily accessible from the Huntress and Ranger starts. You can probably get to it, during the campaign pretty quickly and switch over to it. Now, there's 2 things that it does that are amazing. Number 1, suddenly you can use quarterstaff skills while you are unarmed. So this unlocks incredible potential. Early on, there are great fast-paced mechanic quarterstaff skills, and then late game, things like Tempest Flurry and Flicker Strike can scale, to infinite measures in terms of clearing content and deleting pinnacles. So this by itself, being able to use quarterstaff skills, is amazing. But look what else they added. Like, this is unbelievable. 1% more attack speed per 25 item evasion rating, and 0.1% to base crit chance. That's base, not additive, your base that you scale off of per 10 item energy shield on equipped armor. In a little bit, I'm going to show you some fast math that I'm doing to understand just really how quickly this could be extremely powerful. But yeah, this is kind of amazing. And then they did one more thing in the patch notes. Unarmed attacks now have a base crit hit chance of 5%. So if you didn't notice right away, hitting crit cap unarmed looks, reasonably to have a lot of potential. And then this more attack speed modifier, like, this seems out of control. I don't know what the base is that it's scaling off of. I've heard it's 1.4 attacks per second. I've also heard it's 1.2 attacks per second. If anyone knows for sure, please drop it in the comments or post on Discord and we can start theory crafting with this. But yeah, pretty great. Flurry has always been there. This is a notable. We've just never used it. This scales AoE. This scales more attack speed, but it also reduces damage. Maybe usable, maybe not. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to go into casting meta changes, totem meta changes, and everything else, but I do think casting we're going to see quite a bit of, and I do think it's going to be pretty powerful. I am super intrigued by totems. I almost want to go them myself, but I know they will run into scaling issues that may be solved with like super min-max endurance charge, ancestral warrior totem stuff. We will see. Going to be fun to watch. And then, of course, everything else. Broadly speaking, when choosing between bows and hollowedpalm, I have 3 general thoughts, and then I'm going to dive into, I think, what I am going to lead start. General thought number 1 is don't go monk. A lot of people are looking at hollowedpalm and they're like, oh, that's a monk build. I'm pretty sure, and I'm going to look really stupid in this video if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you don't have to be monk to be unarmed or to use quarterstaff skills. And monk doesn't really scale anything into the late endgame except for defenses. There are some intriguing nodes, like I want to give a call out so I don't look like I'm completely ignoring the monk ascendancy. There is Sunder My Enemies. Critical hits ignore non-negative enemy monster elemental resistances. This is cool. There are some trigger effects. Those are neat. The meta skills is interesting. I do like Mjolnir. Stuff could be neat there. There's a lot of cool stuff in monk. I'm not hating on monk. It's just that as I plan, I want to find which ascendancy has the highest ceiling, and I want to target that, and I want to go for it. And when you get into the end game in PoE 2, ceiling means number 1, speed. Who's the fastest? And then number 2, pinnacle boss deletion. Who deletes bosses really easily, really quickly? And then 3, which class can be flexible between builds. And monk doesn't really work in these 3 categories, so don't monk, people. Next, you're going to be making a choice between ranger and huntress because they both scale the damage and speed, and they both capitalize on evasion, and evasion is newly OP in this league. And lastly, I'll mention this, I'm not going to do it, at least at league start, but probably at the end of the day, Gemling is going to be the best in these categories, and it usually is, and that's because quality to skills, level to skills, and increased bonuses from stats are all irreplaceable uber min-max things. So yeah, don't sleep on Gemling when we get into the later parts of the league. All right, without further ado, let's get to my choice for league start. Amazon, baby. I'm really hyped. All right, I am planning on going Huntress as the class for start and speccing into Amazon right out the gate. Why am I doing this? Why am I so sure of it? Well, I do think Deadeye can be, of course, amazing, maybe the best. I think even Deadeye could run hollowedpalm and be just fine with the marks stuff and, I don't know, maybe Tailwind. Hollowedpalm is close combat, so it negates Tailwind a little bit, but the mark stuff is amazing and maybe capitalizing on frenzy charges. Who knows? Deadeye's probably great no matter what you're doing. However, I do see a greater min-max potential with bows and hollowedpalm on Amazon. Better than Deadeye, I think, at the end of the day, at the end of the league. And here's why. So Amazon, even though slightly nerfed in terms of the crit and accuracy scaling synergies, the ability to hit crit cap, that's 100% chance for a critical hit, and to do it through accuracy, which scales with speed, is just too OP. So let me give a quick overview for maybe somebody who doesn't know what's going on with Amazon and how we do things. So critical strike, it's the first node you take, and it's the most important one. You can almost ignore the rest of the ascendancy. Chance to hits with attacks can exceed 100, and then you gain additional crit hit chance equal to 25%. This has been changed to 15% in the patch. Excess chance to hit with attacks. So basically what this means is if your chance to hit a monster is 150%, that means you have 50% excess chance to hit. And then you take a multiplier of that with 15%, and that is added to your base crit hit chance. I'm going to make a whole video on how I plan to hit crit cap with hollowedpalm early in my build. I've done a lot of math on it, and I think it's going to be fantastic. Keep an eye out for that video coming early next week. But yeah, long story short is we're going to hit crit cap, and we're going to hit it pretty easily through this node. They also, while they nerfed that node, one of the reasons they did it is because they had to change accuracy overall. And players now gain 6 accuracy rating per level. Previously, it was +3, so that's doubled. That's pretty crazy. This is your base accuracy that everything scales off of. And then dex points grant 6, previously 5. So it makes sense that they nerfed Amazon. Just in general, this was a little bit too strong. But with these bonuses to base accuracy, that's pretty crazy. Now, my other criteria for the League Star build was something that would be really fast, and Amazon cheats because while it takes accuracy, it gets more crit cap, and while it takes accuracy, it gets more speed. Unless we get some sort of announcement that there has been a nerf, Falcon Dive is still going to exist, which is attack speed per accuracy, and we have Pinpoint Shot, which is accuracy per crit chance. So everything works synergistically. These mechanics all work together, and they all come down, they all sort of funnel down into this node. So absolutely fantastic. The other thing I love about Amazon thinking about the later game is the evasion boost flexibility in your chest piece. So on other classes, the maximum amount of evasion you can get from your gear is from your chest. And so you can't really swap in another chest, like a unique chest or maybe an ES-based chest with other classes without significant penalty. But in Amazon, you can. And some players found some good uses for Stalking Panther in .2, and I think it's going to be more so in .3. So your evasion rating from helmet, gloves, and boots is doubled, and your evasion rating from body armor is halved, which kind of means, wear whatever armor you need, because you can get your evasion from everything else. So we already talked about how evasion is going to be super OP. We do need to evasion stack, but there's also two other things we need to be mindful of. If we're going hollow palm, we need to get base crit hit chance from energy shield on armor items. So we could run a massive, Vile Robe ES chest and then still crush it on evasion with our other gear pieces through that ascendancy node. So yeah, I really, really like the flexibility here in the chest piece. I think it's really important and undersold for the late game. And then this, in combination with this, means that Amazon will be able to slay to the maximum extent with bows or with hollow palm. So if we end up landing on bows because they're too good, the best iteration of bow is going to be run Queen of the Forest for movement speed on Aroa because your evasion is so insane and you never get hit with the crit cap. That's going to be amazing, like no matter what. This can't go wrong unless they change something in the game. But also if we end up hollow palm, we're going to have an easy crit cap with the changes to unarmed crit. And then we're going to have the fastest movement speed in the game because our hollow palm attack speed scaling is off the charts. I don't even know what it's going to look like. 1% more attack speed per 25 item evasion. That has to be changed. It's just ridiculous. And then, of course, like I mentioned, we're going to take Falcon Dive with accuracy for increased attack speed. So I do think Amazon shakes out to be the highest min-max character in this category of is it hollow palm or is it bows, and in these evaluators of speed, boss deletion, flexibility between builds. I'm really excited to go Amazon, and these are the reasons why. All right, as I wrap things up, there's two things I want to mention. Number one is that between now and Friday next week, we may still see lots of changes to this game. I can recall before .2 noticing within 24 hours before the release, massive number of changes to gems, to items. I think even after release, we had a buff to spears that was huge. So yeah, if you're new to this whole, new league mechanic thing, lots can change in the next 6 days, and certainly a lot will be revealed to us in the final 24 hours or right on launch. We also have an unknown number of variables on the clusters on the tree and the pathing on the tree. So yeah, it's really hard to be certain about what you're going to do and how you're going to do it with so many changes still to come. And I just want to mention that as a big caveat for anyone who's going to kind of be paying attention to what I'm doing. The second thing I want to mention is that for the first time as a PoE content person, I'm going to have a League Start build that is unique to my plans, and I'm going to do my best to support that build with tons of tools and guides and resources for anyone who wants to follow my build and mimic what I'm doing to sort of follow along and be successful in the game. Most of this I'm going to run through my Mobalytics pages and the Mobalytics guides. I've already got something started for my League Start, which will allow you to toggle between different levels, indicate what ascendancy nodes to take and in what order, talk about what skill gems are most important and in what order, and sort of how to scale the character into the end game and min-max things. I'm going to have trade links for everything that you might need to buy as you get into the end game. And I'm also going to combine everything I do in Mobalytics with some core POB following features. My POB is going to have toggles for your level ranges on the skill tree. It's going to have toggles for different item sets based on different pricing. My plan is to provide that to you all as best as I possibly can. And I'm really excited to do it, and I'm really pumped to have people coming along this journey of what I think is going to be an Amazon hollowedpalm league start. Really excited for it. Thank you all. Please call me out in the video for anything I've been stupid on, and come join the Discord and let's do some PoE stuff together for the new league.